with the stories, there wasn't any one really that stood out to me, because I think as a whole it tells quite a tragic and sad part of Merseyside Chinese community's history. Certainly it was something that was never really openly documented, and in fact, you know, kept under wraps slightly. So it was really the whole really that kind of that I was interested in, and the fact that actually this happened to so many people. It wasn't a one-off, and in fact it wasn't something that just happened in the Second World War, it also happened in the First World War. So it was almost as if they'd had a trial run in the First World War and it was replicated in the Second World War, and the fact that it happened to so many people, I think for me was the thing that really came across and was quite poignant about the whole story.
We have tried to find out more. There are several versions. We understood in the first place that he went to America on a ship and didn't come back, but he left a wife and 3 children. Now we understand he was very good to my grandmother. This was the first, after the First World War, not the Second, but we understood he was very good to my grandmother. And the photographs we've got suggest that he was, whilst not affluent, but not short of money either. And we understood he provided very well for them. So the fact that we were told he went to America and didn't come back doesn't ring true, because a man who cared as much as he appeared to do for his wife and 3 children wouldn't have done that. So it's not really ringing true, although it may well be.
I think it's a really good exhibition. It gives the history of the Liverpool Chinese merchant seamen and how they got repatriated back to China.
The exhibition definitely gave me a much deeper understanding of what had gone on and the implications for the families and how difficult it must have been for them, and also the arrogance of the authorities that behaved in this way and felt that it was okay to behave in that way at that time. It is quite recent history, and I think it's a lesson for today as well, that those things mustn't be allowed to happen again to other people who are maybe in the same situation.
First impressions are great. One or two of the photographs in the exhibit are familiar to me. I've seen similar or ones like that before, and the Hardy photographs of all the seamen, especially the one of the Chinese man eating with the trilby hat on, eating his noodles.
My name is Yvonne Foley, and I am the person who has assisted with Rosa to get this exhibition off the ground. My personal involvement is basically because I believe my father was one of the Shanghai seamen that was forced to leave. My mother, luckily enough, kept me, and so I know from the personal history, which is quite limited, because I think the story basically for most of the wives is very painful. Most of them died believing that their husband had deserted them, and in the case of my mother, I think she felt the same, but luckily enough she kept me. I wanted to find out because I know that my mum had some contact when I was younger, saying that there was trouble at sea. We unfortunately don't have any of that information physically, and we don't have any other documentation. But for me, it was to find out why it happened and the knock-on effect that it's had on most of our lives. You know, all of us have been affected in different ways. From my own personal point of view, I was very lucky in the dad that I had, my mother married, and the dad that brought me up. I was extremely lucky in that family. I had a very loving relationship with my parents, with my aunts and uncles and everything else. But a lot of our group didn't go through that. They went through some very tragic times as well.
The exhibition, I think it's a very poignant story, and I think the more that's uncovered about it, you know, it's kind of helps the families to come to terms with what's happened, and perhaps fills in a lot of the gaps in their family histories as well. So my thoughts are that it's a story that should be told. It's a story that it's worth documenting, and you know, it's good that it's been brought to the public's attention.